All of our financial systems are on computers. Every business system is a computer system. The elections are vulnerable now to cybersecurity issues because that's all done via computers as well. Almost all students are now using like ChatGPT or one of its equivalents.
Sure.
Almost every day. Do you have any tips on that, on how you stay up to date with it?
YouTube videos, there's podcasts, there's all sorts of resources.
That's true. And then another trick that I think a lot of people don't use are Google News alerts.
I guess cybersecurity, like the scary topics, the problems, things like people should be looking out for, the threats. Yeah.
And in the beginning of COVID, we asked people to use their own laptops at home. Hey Google, a Google device.
Oh yeah.
That's listening to conversations they're having about work.
Maybe Plan A wasn't as good as what Plan B became. There was a DNA company lately that just had a data breach. I got an email
on that, yeah.
They can set the guardrails in a lot of these aspects. Like ChatGPT now, as an example, is not the same as it was even a year ago. Ask the question, like, can you explain this to me?
Like, let's say you're an 18-year-old male and you have a girlfriend and you're really close and you're in love and you share maybe your password, right, to your email account, and then you break up. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Sean.
How's your day going?
It's okay. How's yours?
Good. Hey, I know I've only worked with you about a month, but I feel like maybe a week ago, I overheard you say that you actually majored in cybersecurity at college. Is that true?
Yeah. So it wasn't my undergrad, but I did get my master's during COVID, actually.
Oh, so recently?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I decided that if I can't have a social life, that maybe I should try to improve myself.
Good on you.
Yeah, I got a master's in information assurance and cybersecurity. Yeah.
You know what I did during COVID?
What?
I did some yoga. I started yoga in my home, watching some video, some woman from Texas.
Okay.
So I would say you were a little more ambitious.
I don't know. I probably should have also studied yoga.
No, I'm impressed though. So was your undergrad degree also in computer related?
Yeah, it was computer science and international business. So how about you?
No, actually mine was not. So, my master's was information science, but my undergrad was kinesiology of all things, which I guess is more related to the yoga, frankly.
Sure.
But, and so my interest in cybersecurity, honestly, has just been working in IT.
Okay.
Right. It's kind of thrust upon us because it's so important and it's required in everything we do. So, so I would not say that I went and pursued it like you did, but I'm impressed that you did that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I sort of got into it when I was pretty young. I don't know if you've seen the movie Hackers. It's like a cheesy movie.
No, but I actually heard that it was pretty fun.
Yeah, there's no basis in reality, but it's just a fun movie from the 90s. But out of that, I started learning about actual people in the cybersecurity field, like Kevin Mitnick and some of those other folks. And, just sort of turned into a thing.
Sure.
And then my brother started doing IT security. Yeah. So it sort of fed, the interest. But it's definitely different doing it in real life than in the movies.
A little more mundane, not quite as
a little more mundane.
But so important still.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the things we want to talk about today, and we'll touch on as we go through our conversation, but is just how much a need there is for more people with degrees and experience in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Huge demand for it. Yeah. And so the term cybersecurity, I looked this up because I didn't know.
Yeah. What does it mean?
Well, the concept of it was started in 1972.
Okay.
So that's really dating it. But the actual term wasn't until 1989. So really nobody could major in cybersecurity before 1989 because the term didn't even exist.
Wow.
But anyway, it was interesting. Yeah.
But nowadays there's so many resources out there. It's you almost don't even need to major in it, because there's YouTube videos, there's podcasts, there's all sorts of resources.
That's true. Yeah, you don't need to go to college for sure. I mean, you could learn so much on your own. Yeah. I'm just Googling it. And one of the things, people ask me is, well, how do you stay up to date on it, right? Because it's also ever changing, completely ever changing. So do you have any tips on that, on how you stay up to date with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that some of the stuff I mentioned, like YouTube videos, podcasts, are really important just for sort of keeping up to date on the big things. Yeah. I also social media is great for this, because if you find somebody in the industry that's really interesting, you can sort of follow their daily thoughts and what's going on today, and you can do it from a big standpoint.
Yeah.
You can follow like the CISO, the cybersecurity officer for a country or a company or just somebody who's really interested in security.
That's true. It's sort of like a cheating way, but I think it's like a shortcut way.
Yeah.
Like instead of going and reading all the news articles yourself, you follow somebody and they'll give you the snippets, they'll give you the links. It's brilliant. Honestly, I think it's one of the best uses of social media, frankly, to follow all these professionals.
And how about you?
You can pick any topic. Well, again, because you and I are working at the U.S. Embassy in IT, we get a lot of it fed to us, right? So in our emails every week, we get the cybersecurity alerts. October was Cybersecurity Month, so we got a lot of stuff. So honestly, those are the main ways I get it. It's just kind of fed to me at work. We talk about it in the office because we're securing the systems in the embassy, so it comes up a lot. I work with 6 other people in my office.
Yeah.
You work with one American, but a lot of local Pakistani IT officials. So you guys, I'm sure, talk about it as well.
Yeah.
So that's a main way. And then another trick that I think a lot of people don't use are Google News alerts. Do you use Google News alerts?
I have, but amazingly, I haven't done it for cybersecurity. Is it good?
No, it is good.
Okay.
And in fact, again, you can do it for anything, but I like to tell young people because a lot of young people don't realize this. But if you Google News alerts, then you can set them up. But yeah, you can follow any topic and you can use advanced things like quotation marks. So like you could do, U.S. ransomware attacks, and put that in quotation marks. And then you will get fed via your email only articles about ransomware attacks or whatever your cybersecurity topic is. Yeah.
So in your opinion, like what are like some of the top, like, I guess, cybersecurity, like the scary topics, the problems, things like people should be looking out for, the threats. Yeah. What do you think are like the top threats, things that people should look out for today in the realm of cybersecurity?
That's a loaded question, Eric. There's so many. There's like the threats to businesses,
sure,
right, which are huge. And then there are the individual threats to people. I think one of the sort of outside the box ones that people don't think about often, but was huge in our world since COVID is working from home. And it's multi-layered, but I think, if you think about employees, particularly like the employees that we worked with, moving from the office, which is very secure. We've got systems set up. We've got firewalls. We bought the equipment. We set up the equipment that they use. And then all of a sudden they're going home. Yeah. And in the beginning of COVID, we asked people to use their own laptops at home. And so this is happening worldwide. People are working from home. They don't have the protections that their companies have at work. They're using some of their own hardware. They're maybe working in a space where it's vulnerable to who might see it. There's all kinds of things. Yeah. They might be connecting other equipment to their work equipment. They're using Internet of Things. They might have a Google, what do you call it? Hey Google, a Google device.
Oh yeah,
that's listening to conversations they're having about work. Anyway, lots of vulnerabilities there, right? So there's working from home in general. There's the Internet of Things. And then on top of it, companies who send all these people to work from home, again, have a shortage of cybersecurity professionals to sort of track those people, to monitor them as much as they monitor them in the office.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's one of the ones I find rather interesting and relevant as people working at home. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you mentioned COVID because I think that like from the other side of it, because all these businesses had to do so many things to make themselves available to their employees outside of the office, it kind of also made some customer data like at risk as well. Maybe plan A wasn't as good as what plan B became. So one of the biggest threats that I've seen these days are data breaches.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like we hear about them, different credit agencies in the US. I think there was a DNA company lately that just had a data breach. I got an
email on that, yes.
So that's some of the more, I guess, scary threats these days that are not something that I think we really talked about that much or discussed in the early days, maybe in the 90s or even early 2000s.
No, it's interesting you say that. And let's just back up and explain a little bit about what that exactly is in case people don't know. But like this DNA company is one that I personally chose to give my DNA to. And so they have in their computer system everything about my personal DNA. And so a data breach is when somebody hacked in and now has access potentially to my DNA, right? And so, I remember in the early days when have you joined one of these DNA companies?
Yeah.
So,
I think we all have. We've sent our dogs DNAs.
Yes, I have my
we know
dog's
what
DNA.
they are.
So I have a mixed breed dog, and I know that she is 25% Pekingese because I sent her DNA away. I did a swab in her mouth and I sent it away and I found out. But yes, huge data breach. Somebody hacked in and now potentially has our DNA. And it happens all the time. And I think it's literally every day these data breaches happen.
Yeah.
To companies. So
things like ransomware, I think, are also kind of scary.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it happens to companies, but it can happen to people too.
Yeah, individuals.
Yeah, you think you're downloading, some, file that you want, but you don't necessarily check to make sure that it's from the person that you think it's from, or that you're taking it from maybe a not too reputable website. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, somebody has basically locked down your computer. They've held it ransom, and they won't give you access back to your data, to your computer until you pay them money.
Yes. So. Yeah. And so that money you saved by maybe downloading the free software or the inexpensive software, you're now going to lose when you have to pay the ransomware.
Yeah.
And that's really scary. And it's interesting. One of the things, I don't know if you've heard this, but people have this image that it's older people, like elderly people, like our parents' age, that are really vulnerable to this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they just did a study, and people who are 25 and under are twice as likely to click on this stuff as somebody who's 55 and over.
Really?
Twice as likely. So nobody really knows exactly why, right? We can only guess.
Yeah.
But one of the premises is that young people have grown up with these computers. They're on them more. They're on them constantly. And it's almost like they're young, right? And so they're also, what's the word? They're brazen. They're brave, right? And so they just sort of click it. They just take it for granted. Sure. They've done it before. They do it every day.
We've all been there. Just click
it. And they want that game software for $5 instead of $100 or whatever the scenario may be.
Sure.
So we're all vulnerable, and it turns out young people are even more vulnerable.
So did I ever tell you the story? So it's kind of related to cybersecurity because it has to do more with social engineering. But did I ever tell you about when I went on vacation and my grandmother?
Oh no!
That somebody tried to use my vacation. I've heard
these stories, but I've never actually met somebody who.
Yeah.
Tell me.
So my wife and I, we went on vacation to a few places, but Italy was one of the places. And while we were on the trip, my very elderly grandmother gets a phone call from somebody saying, your grandson is in prison in Italy, and you need to send us, $100 or whatever amount is, so that way we can help get him out. Now, thankfully, my grandmother's reaction was to call my parents and say, "Is Eric in jail? What, is he in prison again?" I've not been in prison. It's a joke. But so they, of course, told her, no, they've been texting me. So then they were able to just shut it down. She just stopped responding.
Your wise grandma.
Right?
Really?
Yeah. But those sorts of things happen all the time. And they are cybersecurity threats in a sense, but they don't necessarily require a computer to start. Inevitably, if my grandma would have said yes, of course I'll help, they would have said, well, you need to send us Bitcoin, or you need to do a wire transfer through this website. Yeah. So, cybersecurity and sort of defending yourself against these threats can take many, many different forms.
And I think the bottom line in that story is don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
Right. And verify, like your grandmother immediately stopped, called your parents. Thank goodness. Right. But a lot of people fall prey to it. Obviously, that's why it works.
Yeah.
So another hot topic in the news these days is AI.
Oh,
and machine learning, which is very exciting. I mean, it's fun stuff and young people love it. And I just heard the other day that at least in the United States, almost all students are now using ChatGPT or one of its equivalents.
Sure.
Almost every day. I mean, I just think, hate to be a teacher these days. I think that would be a challenge. But anyway, what do you think about AI? Because I think it poses a lot of threats.
Oh.
I mean, I think first of all, again, if we talk about like the DNA companies containing all that data, if all of the sudden we're all using ChatGPT or other AI platforms and we're putting data in, like students might be writing a paper about some topic. They could be writing a paper about giraffes reproducing in Africa or something, right? But you and I, if we got on and we started putting our work information to try to write some report, then all of a sudden our work data live in that system.
Yes.
Again, really vulnerable to data breaches.
Sure.
So anyway, that's one thing. Also, bad actors can use the AI systems to their advantage. I mean, if we can use them, they can certainly use them, right? So it's vulnerable that way. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I do not disagree with the things you kind of identified. Like, sure, like if you put data in, it's going to live there and it creates a nice juicy target the more that it gets used. But, I'm remembering back to when I was in high school and, when Google,
we won't say what year that was.
You could probably figure it out. But, Google was quickly becoming a thing and they had sort of a different mindset as to how to index and, do internet searches. And some of these arguments are kind of similar to what I remember those being, which is, you Google anything and, kids are going to use Google to do this or that. Same with Wikipedia back in the day. So from my standpoint,
so far,
which has come so far, I guess I look at it more from like a positive aspect. Like, I think it's a great tool. I'm trying to think, like, even in studying some cybersecurity topics, like sometimes you get topics that are maybe very nuanced or somewhat complex. So to be able to just, ask the question, like, can you explain this to me? And,
like maybe in terms my grandmother would understand. Something like,
and with these like sort of AI and large language models, you can do that. You can sort of add these little things that if I put that into Google, it might find a website that's called like explain to me like my grandma, but it's not going to do it.
Right.
And I can't ask Google follow-up questions. So as a learning tool, I think that this is really great, especially for young people who are sort of learning how to research. Maybe just the takeaway is to take things with a grain of salt. These are not, all the answers are not going to be true. And you may need to do a little bit of digging and you may need to ask for other sources. But as a tool, I think it's a net benefit.
How do you think the tool outweighs maybe the cybersecurity threat that the tool?
I guess some
of it
will
overcome it somehow, or machine learning will overcome it somehow, or
maybe. It's sort of like, I think that the people and the companies, because there are some open source projects that do this. Open source meaning that it's not a for-profit company. Maybe it's just an organization of people that have collectively decided to build a thing. They can set the guardrails in a lot of these aspects. Like ChatGPT now, as an example, is not the same as it was even a year ago, where you could kind of trick it into giving you the answers that you wanted, even if it didn't want you to. So I think that is going to be a big help. And these days, even the search engine aspect, I can go onto any search engine and I can search for bad things. It doesn't make the search engine bad. It's just a tool.
That's true. And I guess it's like anything else, it's a matter of staying ahead of the bad actors, right? Like always staying ahead.
Which is cybersecurity in a nutshell. It's staying ahead of the bad actors.
There you go. There's the definition. Yeah. Well, and that brings us to the definition. So we're talking about cybersecurity, but what is it exactly? I mean, it's kind of like what you just said.
Yeah.
So I'm going to actually read a definition I found online.
Ooh, okay.
Cybersecurity is the protection of computer systems and networks from attacks by malicious actors that may result in unauthorized information disclosure, theft of data, etc. And so we've been talking about it. Why are we talking about it? Why is it so important? And I was reflecting on this, when again, I'm not going to reveal my age, but when I was in college, we had computers, but we didn't have email yet. It was like right before email.
Oh, really?
And so it just was a different world. And I think, if you think just a couple decades ahead and all of a sudden, all of our financial systems are on computers, every business system is a computer system. Elections. I mean, every country, the elections are vulnerable now to cybersecurity issues because that's all done via computers as well. So why is it so important? Because every single thing we do is vulnerable to it. It's just a huge part of every nation's underpinnings.
Yeah. And most people, like you have your phone here, like most people have a phone.
Yes. No matter what country you're in, no matter what your income is, virtually every person has a phone now.
And
going down to what, like age 11 in a lot of countries, 10, 11 kids have phones, even younger, I think, in some places.
And technology, in a lot of ways, it's great. Like technology has gotten so cheap. It is so much more accessible to people that in the past, maybe it wasn't accessible to. But with that, comes the risk. And sort of why we're here is to try to educate folks a little bit to make sure that they can protect themselves. Because even though it's a wonderful thing, sort of like AI.
So let's talk about a few of the specific cyber threats. And these are terms that, people have heard. But let's go in a little bit about exactly what it is, maybe a few examples, things people can look out for.
Sure.
So how about a virus? What's a computer virus, Eric?
So a virus, it's a nice, like an easy way. A virus is like a program or some code that gets into a computer and does something malicious, something bad. And there are lots of different types of viruses. Like one, I'm sure there might be other, there might be cybersecurity folks out there that will disagree. Like this, maybe it's a very watered down definition, but like a worm. Worms are something, we don't really see them too often these days, but it used to be big in the 90s, early 2000s of like a worm is a sort of like a subset of viruses that don't require a person or a file, right? Like a sort of like a human, like a virus that we get, like it has to infect something, but or it has to, be on something like a cell or whatever. A worm can just spread all on its own. Thankfully, like it's sort of been superseded
that
by other
image is
things.
Scary in both ways. Like it's scary picturing a worm in my body doing that, right? Like even worse. Sure. And then picturing it in my computer. Yeah, I guess it's a good term for it.
Yeah. It's very descriptive. But yeah, viruses, worms, like these are kind of, we still have them, but there may be like an older way of thinking of them. Nowadays we have like spyware and ransomware like we talked about.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, there are all these terms and we can define them. And if you were studying computer science, you'd have to know the answer for the test, so to speak, right?
Sure.
But honestly, when I think about if I think about my mom and something happens to her computer, like I think virus is probably the universal term that everybody uses
these days
for all these things.
Very colloquial. Yeah.
Or just spam or just an attack, maybe. Like really, we could combine all of these and it's just something bad is going on in your computer. It's either an individual thing or like you say, a worm that's spreading that somebody started. It could be much bigger than your own computer. Yeah, and one of the interesting ones is a Trojan horse. Have you heard that term? Trojan horses, right? And so I was reading some history and one of the big ones that came out was about 20 years ago. It was an email one called I Love You. Have you heard this?
I remember hearing about it, but I don't remember the details.
So it's interesting because I was reflecting, if this were to happen in 2023, I don't think it would be that successful. I think I'd like to think that we've all learned that if you see something at all questionable in your email, that you wouldn't open it. You wouldn't open the attachment or whatever. But in about 20 years ago, people would get this email and there was an attachment and it said, I love you. And it was, and so people were so curious, like who's writing to me?
Who loves me?
To tell me they love me, right? Because that's the vulnerability. Like you're being preyed on because of your fears or whatever. Anyway, millions of people opened that.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of a big famous Trojan horse. And essentially what it is it's looking like something legitimate is the point. Kind of like the wooden horse, I guess, that the Greeks used in the story, right? But inside it is living something that isn't really what it is. And that's the bad actor.
Sure.
And so it's going to get in your computer and then it's going to do other bad things.
Yeah.
And interestingly, too, today, this is a philosophy thing. But have you heard that some people see TikTok as a Trojan horse?
No, unpack that for me. I'm very curious.
So if on the surface, it's a valid app that people use, like TikTok, right? And so what does TikTok give us? Well, frankly, you and I probably don't know. I don't have TikTok. Have you ever had TikTok on your personal phone?
No. I've been sent TikToks, but I've never actually used TikTok.
And it's not because we're old, but as U.S. government employees, we're not allowed to use TikTok on our actual work devices.
Sure.
So I've just never downloaded it. I consider it dangerous from the source, whatever. But anyway, the philosophy is, on the surface, it's the social media site that's feeding us addictive, relevant, really fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's the sort of Trojan horse of like, that's what it's doing.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, it's collecting all of our data. It knows everything about Eric's preferences. So it knows he likes the cat videos and
of
he
course.
likes, right. And he likes the mongoose videos or whatever. The cooking videos. He really likes the French cooking videos, the Italian.
Have you been in my phone?
Videos.
What is happening?
So the Trojan horse is that, again, it's this app that's really fun that you love to use. Behind the scenes, they're collecting all this data on you, and we don't know exactly how it might be used.
Yeah.
It may not be being used yet at all, but it may be being used to manipulate you and to manipulate your mind, right? Because studies have shown that the more you use social media, the more you're likely to believe in conspiracy theories, for example. So if you're on TikTok and you're getting fed some things inadvertently, unconsciously, that maybe affect your political decisions or that make you believe something about a particular government and how it's operating or whatever, a lot of it's very subtle. It's very unconscious, but they're going to kind of steer you. So it's kind of interesting. Don't you think?
It is interesting. And it just brought another thought to mind when you were talking about these apps, which is like another similar attack vector of Trojan horse is, like maybe there's an app out there and you have to pay for it. So people will put free versions of the apps on there on the internet.
Oh, right.
And in order to get them onto your phone, you have to go into the settings. You have to like change and say, allow for stuff outside of the App Store or the Play Store or wherever you're coming from. And you sort of download these apps on the side. And that's used as actual Trojan horse viruses on people's phones. Yeah. So they think that they're getting the app, I'm going to get this $5 app for free. And sometimes it might be the actual application. And then they would never know because, what's something that's kind of different than like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it used to be these things like I love you. They were kind of meant to cause mischief or mayhem to sort of ruin people's computers.
Testing the system, kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But these days, because there's such a financial incentive involved with cyber criminals, like they don't want you to know that your phone is infected or your computer's infected. They just kind of want to sit there, take your information, and, it could be your like national identity number, your social security number if you're in the US, your banking information. But they take this stuff and then they use it to, maybe steal some money or create false identities and things like that. And all because you wanted the $5 app for free.
Right. No, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And again, if it's subtle and it's just sitting there, it could also be manipulating you and you don't even realize it. Right?
It's true.
Like, towards believing certain things. Let's just, because we want young people to really realize this, let's just go over this again.
Sure.
On your phone, for example, and I have an iPhone.
Yeah.
So if I want an app, really the only place that's safe to get an app is the App Store.
Yes.
Right. So if you're on an iPhone, it's an App Store. If you're on an Android, it's
the Google Play Store. Yeah.
Yeah. So really good tip right there.
Yeah.
If you really want that app, don't get it from the internet. Don't get it from a friend. Don't get it from some source. Always get it because it's more secure from the App Store. Yeah.
And these companies, they also do their own scanning of apps because things do slip through. So just because it's on the App Store, it's also good, like you said, to think about it. Don't be so brazen in your words. Look at a thing and see, how many people have downloaded it. How is its rating?
That's a really good tip too. Reviews. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing for any kind of software. I mean, if you want some game software, it's unfortunate if it's expensive, but don't take the risk. It's not worth the risk of trying to find a free version or whatever. Yeah.
So have we talked at all about things like passwords and like multi-factor authentication?
It's one of those things, because of the world we work in, I kind of take it for granted. But let's talk about that. Let's remind folks what's so important about that.
Sure. Well, how about passwords first?
Sure.
Because that's kind of the thing that's been around for the longest time. So it used to be, and still is to a lot of extent these days, that, we encourage people to use really complex passwords. Like, give me something that's like 10 characters with letters and numbers and symbols. But the problem with that is it's really hard to remember. So
especially when you need a different password for every single site.
Yes.
Or you should use
You should.
password for every single
That's
site.
actually a great point, is password reuse.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've found, it's not anything I invented, it's just a strategy that's out there, is using passphrases.
Oh.
Are you familiar with this?
Is that kind of like where you create a sentence to remember? Yeah. I actually haven't done that much. I should do it more. So give me an example.
Okay. So an example might be, if I have a website, maybe I make my password, my best friend is Sean, with an exclamation point. Right then and there, I have uppercase, lowercase. I have spaces, which is a symbol. I have an exclamation point, which is a symbol. And then if you want to do the, the leet speak and just change some, letters.
Some letters.
Yeah, letters for numbers or symbols.
Like a dollar sign for Sean, like for my
Yes,
S.
Sean has a dollar sign. It sounds silly, but it's a really, really secure password, because length is an important part of like having a very secure password.
And it's crazy how much you'll see if you just Google this story, how often people still use things like the word password or something,
or password
even after
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Even after decades, people are still doing that. And it's so easy to hack that. So easy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, one thing that does help, even if you do have like a password that's not very strong, is sometimes it's called two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. And basically what that means is, yes, you have your password, which is something but then you also have to provide something else. So you might get asked to say, hey, open your phone and look at your little authenticator app and tell me the numbers that are on the screen. Or it might say, hey, plug in your badge into the computer that you use for work, if it's a work computer, and do that. So it kind of prevents somebody from remotely accessing, because it's kind of hard to have your physical badge or your physical phone. If you're a hacker, they would have to be close to you and physically take your stuff. Yeah,
no, for sure. And the example I like to use with young people is, like, let's say you're an 18-year-old male and you have a girlfriend and you're really close and you're in love and you share maybe your password, right? Your email account, and then you break up. Mm-hmm. You have a really bad day and you break up. And thereafter, your girlfriend knows your password, right? Now, you could change your password, but she knows you pretty well. She might be able to guess, whatever.
Yeah.
But with two-factor authentication, she's not going to have your phone, right? So if an account, like if Gmail, for example, which is popular worldwide, if they give you the opportunity to use two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, they may not require it.
Yeah.
But they may give it to you as an option. I always say to young people, take it.
Absolutely.
Do it. And what that means is then next time somebody like your girlfriend tries to log into your Gmail account on her computer or her phone, she's not going to be able to, because Gmail is going to pop up. And in addition to that password, they're going to want this other thing, like you mentioned. They're going to want to know, well, grab your phone, tell me what that code is on your phone. Or they're going to want another email address. Mm-hmm. Check that other email and tell me what that code is. And so it's becoming more and more popular. Some sites are requiring it, like bank sites and so forth require it.
Facebook, I think, has it as an option, which is a great option.
Yes. And so people really should start taking this option, get used to it. It feels kind of like a pain initially.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's this extra step. It's totally 100% worth it. And if you ever get locked out too, it will help you recover your account. I mean, that's something people don't think about. If, for example, you had an old phone number that you used and you no longer use it, if you have that backup email address as a secondary, or sometimes they'll ask you these security questions, it will help you recover your account.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a new concept to a lot of people, but it's becoming more and more common with more and more websites.
Now, there's something you brought up that I think we should also talk about. It's password reuse. So yes.
So how do you get over that, Eric? How do you overcome needing 30 different passwords for 30 different sites?
Well, there's a really nice service that some companies have started to offer, and they're called password vaults. So there's a lot of companies out there. And the idea is you have one password And that password should be very long, very complex.
But you can remember it.
But you can remember it. The longest sentence that you can remember, right? And then once you get into your vault, it has all of your other passwords. And it can even generate passwords for you. So I don't ever actually need to know the password to my Facebook account.
Because it will be in that vault.
It's in the vault. And I just let the vault generate. It'll just generate something random. I can tell it make something 36 characters long and give it letters and numbers and all the things. And it will generate just some random string of letters and numbers.
So how does that work? If the vault is, say, on your phone, like an app, but then you log into an account on your computer.
Oh, how do you have...
Yeah, how does it sync? Like, how does it sync the password from your phone to your computer?
So all these companies have websites. And so you can, if you're on a computer, you can log into the website.
Log in on there.
Or you can download the application for your computer. But yeah, they all kind of stay in sync. And it's
because I
really
always
good.
Thought, just give us a chip in our wrist or something, right? Like,
oh, sure.
But I mean, eventually.
This is easier. This is chipless.
This is easier. And do you have any vaults you recommend or don't recommend? Or do you think they're all trustworthy?
I wouldn't say ones that I recommend or don't recommend, but there are a lot of them out there that come from a lot of different reputable companies.
So again, do your homework, look at the reviews, look at the number of users and so forth.
Absolutely. And hey, check your, favorite IT security person's Facebook or Twitter post and see what they recommend because it's probably good.
No, I like that a lot. Yeah. Oh, well, again, a lot of this we talked about, but we're all human. And a lot of these vulnerabilities are preying on fear. And a lot of it comes down to almost just a natural reaction of urgency. So you get something on your phone that tells you, this is your bank. Maybe it's a text.
Yeah.
This is your bank. We see that your balance is below your limit. You're about to run out of money. We need you to log in right now.
Sure.
Via this link. And so the reaction, just being human, is, oh my God, I'm about to run out of money. And so we react.
Yeah.
And we just need to remind people, always assume the worst in those sciarios. I mean, you hate to be such a nervous Nelly, but assume that it's not true. And like you just talked about, like go to Twitter or go to some social media to see what your favorite cybersecurity person would recommend. Well, in that scenario, go to Google, find the actual phone number for your bank. So don't trust the link or the phone number that this, text came from, but find the actual phone number and call your bank and find out if that's true. So that's one solution too. Just always be cautious. Take a moment, take 10 deep breaths and then check.
And it's so important because, we all use text messaging. Sure. I get a lot of spam text messages, but it's so much more prevalent on things like WhatsApp and some of these other applications. It feels like, at least to me, where I might get a text and it could be something like that where it's, trying to get me, to do something. It's trying to instill that sense of urgency. And you're right. You just need to take a few breaths. If it's your bank, call your bank directly. Hey, is there a problem? If it's like my grandmother's case, if you think your grandchild is in prison, maybe call somebody, just verify it. Don't necessarily trust it because it came through a message.
Well, and like you say, too, a lot of them are coming and AI even makes it more sophisticated.
Natural language.
Natural. Yeah. But you'll get a message maybe in your DMs, your direct messages of Instagram or Facebook, and it looks like it's for me. Like you could say, oh, Sean wrote to me.
Sure.
And it looks pretty legitimate, but there's a link. Or I'm asking you to do something that's just a little out of the ordinary. So always be cautious. Always assume the worst. Pick up the phone and say, hey, Eric, did you really send me this message?
If I get a message from you and it makes me scared, I will call you directly.
Yeah, exactly.
I promise.
Exactly.
So this was great.
Yes, it was. This program is fantastic.
Yeah, I really like the Lincoln Corners, and I like that we can sit down and talk about these really fun topics. So, I guess if people want to see more, where can they go?
Well, they should definitely follow us on social media.
Sure.
So Facebook, Instagram, Lincoln Corners.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, we would be able to travel all over Pakistan and visit these folks in person. Wouldn't that be great?
I would love it.
It's a beautiful country,
Yeah.
I'm told. I can see in the Google images. But short of that, social media is fantastic in these online sources. And so,
so they should follow us and see
totally follow,
all
see what
this
else
great
we do.
content.
Yeah, because we do it's not all about cybersecurity.
It could be, but it's not.
It could be.
There's a lot of really good stuff.
There are other things to talk about. And Lincoln Corners talks about it all.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Great.
Okay, well, thanks again, Eric.
Thank you.